Did you know that the legendary Spanish squad from 2008 to 2012 was possibly the best football team in the world? Yeah, you heard that right. I'm talking about the innovators of the mystical Tiki-Taka, which many are still trying to replicate to this very day. When you think about how they call the shots in the world football, dominating the likes of Brazil and Germany, one might wonder, does Spain still have what it takes to perform on the big stage? So, how has Spain managed to modernize the playing style? And why does it seem like they're gradually drifting away from the infamous philosophy? International football saw the rise and fall of many powerhouses throughout the ages. Among them, traditional heavyweights like Brazil, Italy, Germany, and Argentina were consistently calling the shots. However, the Spanish national team tells a different story. They did win the 1964 European Championship, but the period following that success was marked by great disappointment. This was a team composed of players from Barcelona and Real Madrid, and it was completely normal for them to come into tournaments as the clear favorites, right? Because time and time again, there were expectations of glory, yet they consistently fell short on the international stage. But over 4 decades, La Roja went without winning a major international trophy until they came close at the 1984 UEFA European Championship. These guys managed to reach the finals, where they were matched with Michel Platini's France. At first, it seemed like they stood a chance, and the boys weren't going to mess things up this time, I guess. But after Bellona's second goal in the 90th minute, Spain was once again left hunting for a trophy after coming so close. Then came the 2002 and 2006 World Cups, even the 2004 Euros, where they were touted as secret favorites but failed to progress to the semi-finals. In fact, their defeat against Zidane's France in 2006 comes to mind. They started strong and took the lead but crumbled against a French team that not only showed promise but also proved exceptional. Spain's golden generation. So the 2008 Euros wasn't going to look any different. Pundits were all over the media predicting a good outing for Luis Aragonés and his boys. But it was a totally different story for the fans. This wasn't going to be the first time they were considered as the favorites, was it? Yet, one thing was pretty certain. Against the likes of France, Italy, Portugal, or even the Netherlands, Spain would probably come off second best as usual. But when they topped Group D with 3 safe wins against Russia, Sweden, and Greece, defeated Italy on penalties in the quarterfinals, and a second victory over Russia in the semis, it was clear they were about to change the history. And that wouldn't be far from the reality, because in the 33rd minute, Torres sent the stadium into absolute madness after scoring a superb screamer. With brilliant attacking and style, Aragonés brought Spain back to the top of European football for the first time since 1964 and created a team that looked like a major contender for future international tournaments. Then came the 2010 World Cup, when Luis Aragonés stepped down as the Spanish coach and was replaced by Vicente Del Bosque. Del Bosque was a highly successful coach who was best known for leading Madrid to 2 leagues and Champions League titles between 1999 and 2003. Coming into the tournament, it seemed unlikely that Spain would continue the spectacular football they played in the 2008 Euros, especially with Fernando Torres injured. This simply meant that the Torres-Villa combo was unavailable, which led to a shocking defeat against Switzerland in their first game. However, they bounced back with consecutive wins until facing the Netherlands in the finals. The team did have a lot of concerns, but thankfully, Iniesta came to the rescue with a goal in the 116th minute. His goal was all La Roja needed to win, and in 2010, they finally lifted their first and only World Cup. Next up was the 2012 Euros, a tournament they qualified for without much difficulty. Spain found their way around Italy, Croatia, France, and Portugal, and once again faced Italy in the final. They took the day after a 4-0 victory over Italy and became the first team to win 3 major trophies in a row and successfully defended their Euro title. At the heart of this unprecedented dominance was Spain's possession-heavy style of play. The rise of Tiki-Taka. Tiki-Taka, in its simplest form, is a style based on circulating and retaining possession of the ball. This involves making short and accurate passes, working the ball through various channels, and ultimately reaching advanced positions in which scoring opportunities can be created. The aim is to tire opponents out before attacking any groups that open up and aggressively winning the ball back in defense. This made a lot of sense, because opponents can't score if they don't have the ball, right? right? Now, you might wonder why this brand of sharp, short passing was given that name and why it actually stuck. Well, Tiki-Taka has its roots in the revolutionary Catalan football pioneered by Johan Cruyff Barcelona in the early 1990s. To understand where Tiki-Taka actually comes from and how it developed into such a global force, we must understand Cruyff's total football. You see, under this philosophy, players have to constantly change positions, making it difficult for the opposition to close off spaces. Every movement was executed with finesse and elegance, which makes them visually appealing to the eye. Cruyff simply wanted people to enjoy watching his Barcelona side play the game and his players to have absolute freedom. This style caught the attention of Louis van Gaal, who adopted and refined the philosophy with precise passing. He focused on the direction of each pass rather than just its speed. Van Gaal once described his philosophy saying, "It is an attacking, technical, and tactical philosophy. You can showcase your qualities more than ever. What comes first is the vision, then the team, and then finding players who fit into the profile I create for each position in my system. 1-4-3-3. Age is not important." Of course, that makes sense, because the former Ajax coach believed that if a player was good enough, they were old enough. This idea has influenced many managers over the years, including notable figures like Rijkaard and Guardiola. Tiki-Taka's most successful proponent was perhaps Pep Guardiola. During Spain's incredible international success, Guardiola's Barcelona dominated the club scene, winning an impressive 14 out of the 19 trophies available to them between 2008 and 2012. Pep showed no signs of stopping. In fact, the deep-lying playmaker turned tactician once said, "In the world of football, there's only one secret. I've got the ball or I haven't." This guy developed a style that valued intelligence and technical skill over physicality. As if that wasn't enough, his philosophy of keeping and taking care of possession was articulated by two of his best players, Xavi and Andres Iniesta. Iniesta would say, "Receive, pass, offer, receive, pass, offer." And Xavi, "I get the ball, I pass the ball, I get the ball, I pass the ball." Returning to Spain, after their Tiki-Taka style became refined under Vicente del Bosque, the then team boss sought to field as many ball-playing midfielders as possible, including Barça trio of Sergio Busquets, Andre Iniesta, and Xavi, along with Madrid's Xabi Alonso and Manchester City's David Silva. In terms of possession, this squad showed no mercy to any opponent, even if it meant winning by a narrow margin. For instance, at the 2010 World Cup, Spain won each of their knockout games with a 1-0 scoreline, including the final against the Netherlands, where they maintained 62% possession over 120 minutes. The fall of Tiki-Taka. Spain was becoming way too dominant with Tiki-Taka, and someone just had to figure out an antidote to contain these guys. And there it was, soak up the pressure and strike on the counter or from set pieces. This tactical challenge had caused some of Spain's biggest football upsets. Under the guidance of Luis Enrique, in the 2018 World Cup against Russia, Spain had 79% possession and took 23 shots, but only scored once before their elimination on penalties. 4 years later, in Doha, La Roja had 77% possession and completed over 1,000 passes against Morocco but managed just one shot on target in 120 minutes. There was something quite spectacular about this face-off, because during the game, the Moroccans played the defense card and patiently watched as Spain passed the ball around midfield and from side to side. Spain eventually lost in a 3-0 penalty shootout, ending their World Cup campaign. That was a pretty disappointment exit. I mean, these guys could have literally saved themselves the disappointment by subscribing to our channel. Well, Morocco did, and when they hit the like and share button, they cruised all the way to the semi-final. I know you want to stay on top of your game, so hit that subscribe button, buddy. Anyway, this was the third time Spain didn't make it past the round of 16 at the World Cup since their last win in 2010. Some attributed it to the World Cup winner's curse, but that explanation didn't hold for long, as it became clear that something had to be done. The gradual shift from Tiki-Taka. The process of Spain moving away from possession-based football began on December 8, 2022, when Luis de la Fuente was appointed as the new manager. At first, he admitted things weren't gonna be easy, just so fans didn't get their hopes up. This likely gave him time to do away with the ancient philosophy and bring in fresh ideas. However, De La Fuente's road to transforming the national team encountered roadblocks, as La Roja suffered a shocking defeat to Scotland in his second game in charge. To make matters worse, he encountered a few off-field scandals, especially after he applauded the disgraced Spanish football president Luis Rubiales during his controversial social assassination speech. Of course, De La Fuente later apologized while condemning Rubiales' actions, but that didn't stop the fans from calling for his head. The Spaniard was obviously under a lot of pressure, but he quickly realized that the only way to weather the storm was to step up his game. So he settled on a group of players and a rather pragmatic approach, which was on full display on the road to Euro 2024. Believe me, these guys were exceptionally brilliant in the qualifiers, because how else do you explain securing an early qualification with 2 games to spare after a 7-1 win over Georgia? De La Fuente's boys only lost 1 game during the qualifiers, as his side was in strong attacking form. Spain scored 25 goals in 8 matches, conceded only 5 goals, and kept 4 clean sheets. Now, let's take a rather intricate look at their game against Croatia and how Spain is paying less attention to ancient philosophy. Spain racked up just 46% possession, with an 83% pass accuracy compared to their opponents' 88%, 11 shots compared to 16, and a lower expected goals ratio. However, with 5 shots on target, the same as their opponents, they were ruthlessly efficient. The opening goal came from a counterattack, with Fabian Ruiz quickly passing to Alvaro Morata for an excellent finish. 2 more goals from Fabian Ruiz in the 32nd minute and Dani Carvajal in the 45th minute meant the result was determined by halftime. The focus on the younger generation. Spain's new tactic may not be as attractive as before, but the public has come to accept it for several reasons. One of these reasons is the widespread understanding that the team is in transition. The architects, or should I say proponents of Tiki-Taka, have all retired from international football. I'm talking about Gerard Piqué, Jordi Alba, Andres Iniesta, Sergio Busquets, and a host of others who have all called time on their international careers. And most importantly, De La Fuente seemed committed to giving the younger generation a chance to establish themselves. The introduction of new, exciting talent and the need to adjust their approach for greater impact have also played crucial roles in Spain's moving away from Tiki-Taka. Spain had a collection of young talents who are arguably the finest in Europe right now, and one of the most promising at the moment appears to be Lamine Yamal. Yamal is a ridiculously talented teenager who is one of the best one-on-one dribblers in town. Yamal's rise to prominence began in the spring of 2023 when there were whispers that the 15-year-old could feature for Barca's first team. This was at the time when injuries were affecting their wing players, including Ousmane Dembele, who was struggling for fitness, and Rafinha, who needed support. Xavi included the teenager in his lineup for several matches, as it didn't take long for Yamal to show the world what he was capable of. Because in a game against Real Betis on April 29th that year, Yamal registered a shot on target and displayed glimpses of the talent he could bring to Xavi's squad. At just 16 years old, he broke the previous record held by La Masia starlet Ansu Fati, who made his debut at 16 years, 9 months, and 25 days old. He's lucky to work under a boss like De La Fuente, who has given him the freedom to break ranks and take on defenders. Some call him the successor to Lionel Messi, which makes a lot of sense given his versatility, as he can play as a striker, attacking midfielder, or on the right wing. Another Spanish youngster who has shocked the world is Nico Williams, whose decision to play for Spain was met with reactions as far away as Ghana. Nico was born to Ghanaian parents, but ultimately chose to feature for Spain. The young Spaniard had a fantastic season with Athletic Bilbao last year, which quickly earned him a call-up to the national team. In fact, De La Fuente described the 2 prodigies as a gift from God. They are young players, especially Lamine. He's a young boy with incredible talent that only the chosen ones have. They have a gift from God. Very few players have these qualities. And then there's Pedri, who, despite facing recurring injuries, has shown that perhaps it's time for La Roja to change the status quo. The new-look Spain attack is spearheaded by target man Alvaro Morata, with a new focus on direct, penetrative runs. While critics may have criticized De La Fuente's style of play, there's little doubt that the team is gradually getting the job done. However, it remains to be seen if they can actually stand the test of time when they face tricky opponents. But what do you think about Spain's new approach? And just how far do you think they can go in the Euros?